Welcome to Blade HQ, everybody. Today is April 1st, 2024. Yes, Blade HQ has an April Fool's joke. It's over on the short side. It is not here. Everything you are going to see here is 100% real, starting with the brand new Benchmade Mini Bushcrafter. So the Benchmade Bushcrafter was a classic staple of the Benchmade lineup for a long time. Shane Sibert, let me know in the comments how to say that last name. He designed it. His knife designs have always impressed me just with how rugged and well built they feel. I've seen some of his customs that go for thousands of dollars, and they are just beefy monsters. Even though it's a $2,000 custom, I feel like I could pry open a crate with it. Very nice indeed. This one is very faithful to the originals that came out a long time ago, although it does have some updated ergonomics, a little more rounded, but it has an S30V blade like we knew and loved, as well as this little fuller. There is a full-size version as well. This is the Mini. I grabbed the Mini because it's a true new model, and it comes with a nice leather sheath. Very bushcrafty indeed. Has a little ferro rod loop. You want to use that? I will tell you, I know in the bushcraft world, a lot of people really swear by Scandi and convex grinds. However, I will tell you, I prefer the flat grind. One, because I know how to sharpen it, and it can do it quickly. It doesn't have a whole lot of material to remove to make it sharp. But mostly I know it. That's the knife that's on it's the grind that's on my folder, it's on my kitchen knives. I know this grind and it makes it a great knife as a bushcrafter for me. Now if you know and respect and know and are well informed as to how to maintain a Scandi or a convex, rock on, use that. Looking at you Dutch bushcraft knives boys, you make the sharpest crazy convex edges I've ever seen. But I don't know how to sharpen a convex very well, but I know how to sharpen a flat, so I'm going to use it all day long. Whatever fixed blade suits your needs, that's the one to do it. By the way, that's a bit of a teaser. This Friday, we have a fixed blade buyer's guide that's going to dive a little more deeply into grinds then as well. So the Benchmade Mini Bushcrafter goes for $342, and this one is just the tip of the spear. Later on in the year, we're going to have the pro version, I guess you could call it, of the Bushcrafters coming out, which are going to have a carbon fiber handle, a crew wear blade, and a Kydex sheath. Those are very exciting, and I think I'm going to hold out and get one of those when they come in. Next up, new from Benchmade, we have the Narrows. I won't go too deep into this. The Narrows was a model that came out last year, but this time, instead of the stone wash and bead blast and blue accents, we have a full murdered out, blackout Narrows. So I think it's kind of fun. It looks tactical, but I don't know how they made this knife so thin. So I've disassembled a few axis locks in my day, like this one, and you have to have a pocket in the handle where you can fit a spring, so it limits you on how thin the knife can be. But I don't know what kind of magical mystery they pulled in here to make this knife so incredibly thin. No internal liners to hold the lock in, maybe just a tiny bit in there. I wouldn't dare disassemble this because it's a $540 knife. But it looks good, it feels good, slick as butter, one of the smoothest bearing actions. Benchmade, you done good here. I imagine that this is a bit of a challenge to assemble. I imagine it was a huge challenge to design, so it does earn itself a bit of a premium price tag of that $540, but what a knife from Benchmade. Next up, we have the MKM Vincent. This is a Yesper Voz design, and Yesper Voz does a lot of very subtle curves and like sheep's foot blades, like we'll find occasionally on, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the CRK Pilar or the Giant Mouse Riv. But this one, that is a belly. That's like a skinning knife. This feels like a hunting knife to me, but when it's closed and in your pocket, it feels like an everyday carry knife. So if you're one of those guys who likes to get out in the woods, or like those kids in high school who would go and hunt rabbits during their lunch break, this is a great knife to throw in the truck for that. Very, very nicely done. Magna Cut steel, I believe. Yep, Magna Cut. This one's got a denim micarta handle. I think they just did a good job with this one. I like the handle. I kind of get this 3-finger and then one on the back, but if I choke up, I'm like right on the edge. Have a full handle here, and I could do a lot of precise carving with that. I can almost see this using like a chef's knife as well, like against the table. You have a lot of there. You could mince garlic with this easy. A very different knife, but I still think it's a very useful knife. Very nicely done, Yesper Voz. Next up, from MKM, we have the DCA Pocket Tango. So DCA is a man I deeply admire. He has a lot of knowledge, and he's a lifelong student of cutlery. I hope I can be like him one day. But this is one of his designs that has, I think this is his first production design. This is the Pocket Tango, and this one comes in 2 different blade shapes. We have this Warncliffe sheep's foot with a very nice swedge and some jimping up here, so if you want to choke up to do stuff. And this one's got the carbon fiber handle. You wrap your hand and you want to hang this pinky right here, and then you get 3 fingers there, and it locks the knife in really well. You can tell that an expert was behind this thing. Very nicely done. Magna Cut steel, MKM's very nice pocket sheath. So you latch this inside your pocket, and then you just push on the sheath to get the knife out. A nice everyday carry knife. Very much a replacement for a folder, in my opinion. Very nice knife. And, man, I just say very nice knife. It really is, I promise. But it has a look to it, you know? Like a lot of times with fixed blades, we try to go for this, like something like this. This is a very practical handle shape. It's straight, almost broom handle-like. But folders tend to be the ones that get the grooves and the contours. You don't see a whole lot of that in the fixed blades, and I really like that we find it here. A very, very good knife for not a bad price too. $169.90 plus. I think the carbon fiber ones run a little bit more. This one's also available in a Nessmuk blade, and that's probably the one I'd go for. Nessmuk was one of the fathers of modern day backpacking, and he had a blade profile that just worked for him. And it works today. It has a nice sort of bulbous drop point, for lack of a better term. You're gonna get a nice slicey blade, but not a delicate tip. Very nice indeed. Next up, new from Civivi, we have the Blue Tick. So for those of you who are aware of Kenis knives, Kenis is a custom knife making company. I've seen them at shows, and they usually have pages of long bids on their huge customs that have all the crazy stuff, and the classic Kenis wicked nasty hollow grinds give you paper thin edges that slice like nothing else, and nothing catches the light and gleams quite like a good hollow grind. So they usually go for thousands, but this is the first production Kenis knife I've seen. This is coming from the guy on that team. I believe his name is Brian. I'm trying to remember his last name. I don't remember his last name. Anyway, he designs this one, and it looks like the Kenis customs. It has the same sort of handle language going on, the same blade with that deep hollow grind, nice jimping. This is an excellent EDC knife. And when I picked up the Kenis at the blade shows and all that, I'm like, wow, that's a nice knife, but I could never in a million years drop $2,000 on a knife. But I could drop 55 bucks on the Blue Tick, and it's a Kenis. It's great. I love it. That's what I love about We Knife Company and their subsidiary brands, Civivi and Sencut. They are very good at finding the best of the best knife makers, taking their designs, making a faithful production version of them, and then bringing them to the masses for everybody at affordable prices. And I love it. And We Civivi has been doing this for a good long while. In fact, this year is their 10-year anniversary. And because of that, they're bringing back our next knife, the 601X. The We Knife 601 was the very first We Knife ever to exist, and they've sort of updated it a little bit and brought it back. So the original one, I thought, did a little bit of a backflip of design, where instead of just maintaining a consistent edge thickness all the way around, it gradually got thicker towards the tip, which not only gave some nice textural contrast in terms of looking at it, but it strengthened the tip quite a bit. So you could really work that tip without worrying about breaking it, but still have a very fine, thin edge at the base. This time, they've maintained that same edge thickness all the way around, but they've added the tip strength in a different way. I don't know if we can catch it here on camera, but this has a compound grind. So it's gonna be flat here at the tip, and then hollow down here, and then it has an ever so subtle tanto to it, So it's going to sharpen pretty easily, it's going to cut very nicely, but you're gonna get that added tip strength from the compound grind and the tanto. Man, they really came back strong with this one. I remember the original 601 and I liked it. I especially like the ones that had like this dragon scale milling on the titanium. Maybe we'll see one of those in the 601X series. But these are back and they are better than ever. $259.25 is where these start, but it goes up from there if you want crazy anodizes, Damascus blades, etc. And then lastly on the table, we have the new Heretic Colossus, but now with the dagger blade. So these had recurves and these had tantos, but now we have a dagger and I love to see it. I really do like Heretics. They're made well. I love how they do these slides. So you have some good ramping on both sides, but then right on the top of the slide where your thumb kind of wants to land, they put some pretty aggressive knurling. So it is pretty easy to latch your thumb on. And these ones fire hard, so you have to charge the spring and it takes some effort. but your thumb isn't going to slip off and do anything weird because of just how well jimped that is. Then we got a reversible deep carry pocket clip. This one's this blue anodized aluminum with sort of this like almost skateboard grip tape like inserts. Very nicely done, Heretic. Made in the USA. These are going for $4.97. Well, that's new knives for the week, everybody. We hope you've enjoyed. You can find all of these knives and more at bladehq.com. The Narrows is coming soon right now. I guess you can pre-order it, but it drops officially on the 4th. So if you want that one, head over to Blade HQ on the 4th, and we will see you next time.